Hi there, pleasure to be here. My name is Ilan Barda. I'm the CEO of Radiflow. Radiflow is here in San Francisco in the RSAC 2019, part of the Israeli pavilion. We are providing cybersecurity for industrial automation, which is quite a new area in terms of all of this IT market. But we see that this is becoming more and more important, so we are here to discuss with the potential partners and potential end customers.
So one of the things that has been a discussion point for security is everybody thinks IoT and industrial automation are the same thing. The enterprise world understands the difference. Can you kind of give an explanation to the viewers about what industrial enterprise and automation is as opposed to just IoT?
So IoT is of course a very broad word. So you have IoT in different segments, in the home, in the consumers, in all kinds of applications for the mass production. Industrial IoT or industrial automation are the applications used by the industrial enterprises, like the oil companies, the water companies, the refineries and so on, where they are using a lot of IoT devices, a lot of more sensors, a lot of more controllers to automate and improve their operational efficiencies, but it's used as part of their bigger industrial process.
In that area for the security, what most people think of for industrial or commercial for security is data loss. But in the industrial automation, it's also downtime on the factory and data flow and continuity, especially for people that have compliance issues for manufacturing lots and all those other things. Is that the area you're covering? Is that one product or are those multiple products with your company's tools?
So of course for manufacturing, the most important thing is availability. You want to keep manufacturing whatever you are doing, whether it's power or oil and gas, you want to keep doing it all the time. This is money eventually, not just in terms of compliance, this is money. And this is the most important thing that our products are monitoring the industrial automation networks and making sure that nobody is trying to insert some malware that will impact this availability. So everything that we are monitoring is very much focused on making sure that there is no intruder in the network that will be able to impact the availability of the operational process eventually.
So, in that space, one of the terms that a lot of the people at this show may have heard, even if they're in the enterprise space, is the SCADA interface and some of the SCADA attacks that have taken place, the highest profile of which was that Iran nuclear reactor area where they attacked the centrifuges. Is that something that your products can help people address, monitor, and protect?
Yeah, so SCADA is one of the words about how to describe industrial processes. The same is ICS, the same is OT. And of course, the most important one is the Stuxnet case in Iran, but there was also the Ukraine case and the Germany case, so there were many such cases and many others that were not published. And our system is exactly for this kind of activities. We are monitoring these networks, we are building a baseline of the normal operations, and then when there is an intruder that is starting to make some changes in the network over time, this is something that we will alert, and based on the baseline you can define what is your allowed policy and what is not allowed, and these are the things that we will alert.
So a lot of things such as automobiles and automation are going to a lot more software interface instead of just hardware controls. In that case, being able to push an update properly or improperly, schedule it, and authenticate the source from it is a key part of that security environment. Does your tools also help address that management side for software firmware in addition to operation?
Yeah, so actually that's a great question, because one of the most important things and one of the big values of our solution is supporting this change management process. As you said, there are many firmware updates, many logic updates. You need to make sure that it's coming from the right source, done in the right time. It's the right kind of a change to the device. This is one of the most important things that we are monitoring to make sure that this is done, and we can also enforce policies and block things which are done outside of the normal allowed planned maintenance. And even if it's allowed, we are checking that it is coming from the certified source, it's with the right checksum and so on. So this is actually a very important functionality that we are providing to support all these continuous updates of the logic of the devices.
The last thing in that space, when you have these updates, you have firmware controls, the world is now changed. Before, if you were partnered or buying equipment from a 50 or $100 million company, you could rely on them being in business for 10 to 20 years. Now there's no size that isn't an acquisition target. So as these vendors transition in and out, and as employees transition in and out, can you support the privilege management to make sure that, well, we're switching that equipment to this one to avoid sabotage, avoid updates? You know, a lot of the challenge has been you have qualified people that now become disgruntled and move to another area. In an industrial environment where you actually have production going on, it's completely different from just an IT space. So do you do the privilege control and access management with respect to that aspect too?
Yeah, so actually that's also an area which is very important because the end devices, the controllers in the industrial automation were not designed to do this kind of identity and access management. So this is what we are doing for them. We can either do it with an inline device that will block access if it's not according to this access control, and you can update the policy saying this employee is now no longer an employee or can only do maintenance on specific slots. Or you can do it in a passive way to monitor it and make sure that this is done according to your identity and access management privileges.
And then the last question for your product, is it a holistic enterprise solution or can it be on specific sites? So if you're a multi-phase company that may have sheet metal in one place, assembly in another, can you put different modules in different places, or does it have to be the whole company or nothing?
Yeah, so our system is structured so you can buy simple collectors for remote from remote locations to collect the information to a central place where you can do all the analytics, and this can be for a specific critical big location, or it can be collecting information from multiple sites. And then there is a second component of actually preventing things which are outside of the policies, which you can select critical places where you want to install them, and in other non-critical places you can just focus on the monitoring without doing the enforcement part.